Welcome back. If you find yourself drowning in debt and you can't seem to find a way out, well, you do have some options in getting help. One of them is bankruptcy, and today we're learning all about it from Jonathan Frutkin of the Frutkin Law Firm. Good afternoon. Good to see you today.
Thanks for having me here, Destry.
I'm glad you're kind of helping us sort through this all, because I think a lot of people are considering bankruptcy right now. Why would you say are the reasons people file?
You know, the main reason for bankruptcy laws is for people in business, and their business didn't work out. But what we see is the #1 reason for people to file bankruptcy is medical bills. It is absolutely the #1. The second is, of course, in our current market, is housing because of a foreclosure on their house. And finally, we have a lot of people who are going through divorce. And as a part of that process, they end up going through bankruptcy in order to give themselves a fresh start.
Okay, let's talk about the types of bankruptcy too, because you hear a lot about Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 and Chapter 11. What are the differences? Well,
first of all, you got to remember, this is just in a book, right? So you open it up and you turn to Chapter 7, and that talks about the type of bankruptcy that's a liquidation, a start-over type of bankruptcy. The other types of bankruptcy that people typically file are Chapter 13 bankruptcy. That's someone with a job who wants to make payments in order to repay their creditors, at least partially over time. And then, of course, we all hear about the Chapter 11 cases, the GMs, the Phoenix Coyotes, but it's also for certain higher asset individuals could also file a Chapter 11 type of bankruptcy.
Okay, like you mentioned before, a lot of people right now filing because of housing issues. Can filing for bankruptcy stop a foreclosure?
It can, and it does. When you file bankruptcy, something called the automatic stay goes in place. This stops all creditors' actions against you, including foreclosures. So what happens is the minute you file bankruptcy, the foreclosure is at least temporarily stopped. That is, until a federal bankruptcy judge allows it to go forward. So what we see is we see people filing these bankruptcies and then using the Chapter 13 repayment plan type of bankruptcy in order to pay the arrearages back to the mortgage company, stay in the house, and get back on track.
But you have to make sure you file the right type of bankruptcy.
You do, and you certainly need to make sure you file before the foreclosure, not the day after, because then it's too late.
All right, there you go. Now, you hear a lot that, oh, you don't want to file for bankruptcy because you'll never be able to get credit again. I mean, can you get credit again after you file?
This is definitely one of the biggest bankruptcy myths. You know, this year we have 30% more bankruptcies probably being filed than divorces. Well, everybody's more than eager to talk about their divorce. Bankruptcy is one of those things that people always keep to themselves. And so there's the myth that, of course, this will destroy your life forever. It's just not true. Right when you file bankruptcy, you're going to be able to get certain types of loans. Credit cards with relatively low balances, and then car loans. After about 1 to 3 years, you'll really see your credit begin to fix itself, right the ship. And most of our clients are in the 700s for a FICO score after about 2.5 to 3 years.
Really?
Now of course, it stays on your credit for 7 to 10 years, and that's an issue, you know, for everybody to keep in mind. But the real credit rebuilding happens really in the first 1 to 3 years.
Okay, what about when you file for bankruptcy and, I mean, do you lose your things? Do they come after your things when you file?
You know, Chapter 7 bankruptcies, the type where you start over, are the type where you have things at risk. 97% of people who file Chapter 7 bankruptcy fit within the basically the Arizona law that allows you to keep certain things. This is almost everybody. So for those who don't fit within those, Chapter 13 is available. You make repayments toward your creditors and you keep all your things.
Like your cars and that type of thing?
Yeah, most people in Arizona, you're allowed to keep a car up to $5,000 in equity. That covers most of them. Your house up to $150,000 of equity. So there's an entire list that you can look at before you file, and your lawyer will help you through that so that you're sure that you're protecting all your assets.
Well, thank you. You made it a lot more clear today. And for more information, you can go to discreetbk.com or just call the number on your screen. And coming up next on Arizona Midday, a mug and a microwave. That's all you need for this dessert. We're going to show you how to make it after the break.